feeder container ships to offshore vessels and multimodal transport, DP World's marine service business covers a diverse range of sectors. Hi, it's Marcus Hand, editor of Seatrade Maritime News here, and in this episode you'll be hearing from Ganesh Raj, Global Chief Operating Officer of Marine Services at DP World. We'll be discussing different aspects of the business, the rationale behind its rebranding, and what the future holds. Welcome to the podcast, Ganesh. Firstly, could you just briefly introduce yourself and your role at DP World to our listeners?
Well, I worked for DP World since way back in 2004, and I currently look after the marine services business for DP World based on Dubai.
And could you explain a bit more about what that role is you have with the marine services business?
Let's look at it from a perspective in terms of what DP World business profiles are. In the first instance, we are basically operating on three different pillars. One is ports and terminals. That's where we started our business from. The second is the logistics vertical. And the third is the marine services work. The ports and terminals is a business that has been the basis on which the evolution of DP World has started. And since then, we've moved on to look at logistics services. Marine services looks after the transport solutions aspect of DP World's business.
No, you sort of mentioned the DP World, you sort of started from the terminals and business.
Yeah.
And it's expanded significantly through acquisitions. What has been the objective there for DP World?
So in any format of growth, when you look, you can either grow organically or inorganically, right? When I talk about inorganically, it's through an acquisition. And through a fairly selective and careful selection process in terms of being able to achieve a certain objective, a rightly placed acquisition or an access into a specific market allows us the ability to enter that market and be able to, with the skill sets that's needed to be able to deliver the solutions that our customers and our overall vision is expected to achieve. And that's the reason I think we have been fairly successful in being able to acquire the right businesses and also integrating those businesses into our fold, into our overall operations in a better way than most organizations have.
Right, because you acquired quite a number of businesses for the marine services section, didn't you?
Yes, we didn't start because way back when the original focus was about acquiring ports and terminals or looking at our ports and terminals business. The question that we've always asked ourselves is about relevance, as saying that as an independent ports and terminals operator, would we continue to be relevant in the future if we were a pure play ports and terminals operator? And the overwhelming answer to that question and every introspection was that it would not be the right thing to remain focused only on ports and terminals business.
Right.
And that started the journey towards getting into businesses which were associated with the ports and terminals business, with our maritime legacy, but growing to a broader framework where we have a broader customer base than what the ports and terminals business afforded us. And that's how we got into the marine services business as such.
If you're enjoying the Seatrade Maritime podcast, make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing on the app of your choice. I think quite significant in recent times is you've taken those various businesses that you have under marine services and rebranded them as shipping solutions, multimodal solutions, and maritime solutions. What's the reasoning behind that?
I think it's all directed and very specific to what is the solutions we are providing to our customer as such. Our focus has always been in terms of the broader objective of what DP World is known as an entity, is providing different solutions to the challenges that our customers face in their respective supply chain. And by branding it as a part of DP World Shipping Solutions, it's about being able to extend that broader framework of capability to our customers. That's the primary driver for rebranding.
I mean, you did have some pretty well-established brand names in there, like Unifidur and P&O Maritime Logistics. Is there a concern about sort of losing the brand equity that you've got there from those?
These are all strong brands because the very fact that we have gone through a process of acquiring these brands and acquiring these organizations clearly signifies the importance of what these businesses have contributed to the broader supply chain as such. But I think the overarching concept has always been keeping our customers in focus in terms of what is the broader proposition or what is the sales proposition that we're offering our customers. And after having considered that in fair bit of detail, they came to the conclusion that providing a comprehensive TP-based solution was a better choice than a fragmented approach towards having different individual names for these solutions that we provide.
Which people perhaps don't necessarily know are DP World as well, I guess.
Hitherto, yes, there has been a lack of recognition in terms of what DP World has been, but over the years, that brand recognition of DP World has also undergone a fairly significant amount of change. And today, if you look at DP World as a brand, it's fairly well recognized, more recognized as a brand than probably some of the individual brands are recognized as such.
Yeah, no, well, definitely understand that. I think I'll just sort of have a look at each of these businesses in turn that you've got under Marine Services. And if you just talk perhaps firstly just little bit about the shipping solutions business and then what you're looking to do with that going forwards.
Okay, so from a shipping solutions business, we are focused primarily on the container shipping solutions. We have a very specific model that's quite different from the traditional full-fledged liner services that's operated by a Maersk or MSC. We provide complementary services in terms of being able to connect hub ports to satellite ports, because at the end of the day, that's the basis on which we have evolved from a port and terminal operator to also be a marine services operator, of being able to connect the hubs and the satellite ports with our own network of services. And dare I say that we probably do that better than most people do. And also be able to provide connectivity to the BCOs as well, where there is specific requirements of finding solutions in sectors where there is a need for scale, efficiency, as well as with doing it both from a cost-efficient perspective, but also from a environmentally safe manner.
So you're essentially sort of partly driving connectivity for your own terminals then?
Yes, that it is one of the objectives in terms of being able to drive connectivity for the terminals, but that does not mean that we only call it DP World ports. A large number of ports that we call are non-DP World ports as well. Yeah. It's about being able to provide the network of ports that is connected onto some DP World port as such.
And what would the plans be for that business going forward? Would you consider expanding into liner haul services, for example?
It's a very blurry line today if you call it a liner haul service, because today we operate services all the way from China into the Middle East, which is hitherto known as pure liner haul services, right? But we would like to look at it from a perspective in terms of what our customers expect from us and provide connectivity as to what is needed. Today, we are looking at being able to provide services from Middle East into Africa as a connectivity, as a port connectivity option. And those are services that we will continue to explore, continue to provide solutions for. If I were to look at our growth aspect, China and Asia for us is a very important sector, and we will continue to grow in those markets as well, right? The size of vessels that we operate used to be, that we started this business, was in the range of 2,500 TEUs. Now we're operating ships in the size of 8,500 TEUs in the same sector. So I think it would be a mistake to bucket any of these things into a separate segment as a feeder segment or a mainline segment. I think the trade economics is changing quite rapidly, and the demands on the supply chain is quite different. So it's up to organizations like us to be able to come up and provide those solutions to where customers expect us to provide them.
So kind of catering to the dynamics of the market then.
Yes, very much so.
And do you have, you mentioned the growing ship size there. Do you have fleet expansion plans?
We do, and I think hitherto, historically, even when you look at our business, we have depended quite extensively on the charter business, so the charter market as such. But like everything else, like other business dynamics, changing environments and geopolitical situations, we feel the dependency on the on charter market alone is not the right approach. So we would have a balance of both our own assets as well as charter assets in our fleet.
Okay. Be interesting to watch those developments as they come
Oh
along.
yes, we are quite keen. We have a very clear fleet strategy in place that we would enact as the years go by. But focus for us is on several fronts, because what has also changed is the call for climate action. The call for sustainability is more important now than ever before. So it's also we see it as our own responsibility to try and see how we can improve our ability to influence that. So some of our new builds that we are looking at being able to get in are all vessels which are very, very fuel efficient and extremely well catered into the new generation of fuel demands, whether it is LNG or whether it is methanol fuels.
Well, that's really good to hear, and I think those are developments that there will be continued pressure towards that as well. Won't there?
Yes, yeah, no, absolutely. I think that is a key element of our fleet strategy.
Excellent. I'd like to move on to the Maritime Solutions business, which is quite a diverse kind of business when I was looking at it.
Yes.
Perhaps you could explain what that brings to DP World and where you're planning to take it.
So Maritime Solutions business is about, when you look at the marine solutions as a business pillar and you look at shipping solutions, which talks about transporting cargo or containers from port to port, Maritime Solutions focuses on being able to provide solutions to the marine industry as such. So it's segregated into three different divisions, where one division focuses purely on towage and piloted services, i.e. what we call as port services. And the second one focuses on project cargo, which is cargo which can range from windmills to heavy transformers, so it's deck platforms and assets associated there. And the third one is with reference to bulk modalities, and which is carriage of bulk cargo in niche corridors, right? Where we have a fair, where we are invested in cement carriers and very specific in the business segment as such.
What are some of the reasons behind being in those various different sectors?
So the business, when you're looking at it from a project basis, in terms of being able to provide, it is driven by a multitude of factors, because in certain aspects of the business, you are in a position to take on specific activities, but also be able to do other aspects of the business as well. Like, for instance, if you're providing an anchor handling tug to a large customer base, right, you will need to be able to provide other solutions as such. So at the end of the day, the focus is about the solution, right? And if a customer demands a certain solution, we are looking at the capability of being able to provide that solution to them.
So it's being able to offer that broad range of services.
Yes.
Do you have any specific plans going forward for those businesses?
There are. Each business has a very, very specific strategy and a growth plan initiative attached to it. And our focus has always been in terms of being able to modernize our fleet and be able to look for market which optimizes the solutions that we provide for them. So the offshore business for us has a strong dependency on Caspian. And historically, that's been the focus. But over the years, we have now reduced our dependency on Caspian, and we have moved businesses away from the Caspian to Middle East, Africa, and other parts of the world.
Right. So you've sort of diversified that.
Right.
To move on to the third sort of leg of this, I guess, Multimodal Solutions. Looking at that, it seemed to be quite sort of Europe focused. Where do you see that business going? Is it going to expand beyond that?
Yes. So multimodal operations for DP World is not Europe centric.
Okay.
Right. So multimodal operations is present in almost every continent that we operate. If we look at India, we have a fairly large network of multimodal operations. We also have a extensive road haulage and rail haulage business in Africa, right? So the concept of multimodal business, which evolved from Europe, from the erstwhile organization, is based out of Europe, and it is focused on being able to build a fairly strong network within the European continent and UK. So it's been a UK-Europe continental business, very closely attached to the ferries business.
Right.
But the future evolution of this business is about being able to create a large-scale multimodal operation across the globe, right? Because the learnings and the capability deck that we have within the multimodal solution has got strong contributory factors that we can benefit from in the rest of the world, whether it is Africa, whether it is India, or any other part of the business. So the future is to try and get that knowledge base to scale and expand beyond the boundaries of Europe and the UK. I think the future for trade is about being able to bring those two factors together. The marine services in terms of the seabound logistics, as well as the land-based logistics together, right? The multimodal logistics together. And the knowledge base that is garnered from being able to operate these two independent operations is very, very strong within the world, right?
How do you see that? I mean, do you see other geographies you're going to move into, or is it building on where you currently are?
I think it's going to be a mix of both. It should be about expanding into geographies where we are already present, because that allows us the capability to use the knowledge base that we have in the region that we are operating in, but also be able to use the skill sets that we learn from operating a fairly extensive network of these services in other parts of the world. Yeah, so we would start with locations where we have an existing presence and grow on to places where there is a demand for such a service.
Okay. Well, again, very interested to watch how that all progresses. Just look at marine services as a whole. It's obviously a business that's grown a lot through acquisition. Are there further plans to acquire other businesses or enter into new areas, or is it a case of consolidating what you've got?
Now, consolidation and growth has to go hand in hand. You cannot just be in a consolidation phase and not be in a growth phase. And I think opportunities don't come knocking on your door twice. So when the right opportunity presents itself and allows us the ability to grow, we are quite keen on being able to look at acquisitions and grow with acquisitions. At the same time, consolidation is an ongoing process, because what I would call it as a process of continuous excellence, right? Where you constantly review what you have and see if it is fit for purpose and does it suit the current economic environment, or even the trade environment is an ongoing phenomenon. So our model of this is growth is always at the center of our objective. And making sure that the businesses are efficient and making sure that the businesses run profitability is an underlying factor, because otherwise we're not going to get necessary investments to go out and make the acquisitions.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. You've obviously got to ensure that part.
Yes.
So the people are a very important part of achieving that.
I can't do anything by myself.
Yeah, it's obviously a very major portfolio. I think just one last question. You were talking about that vision. If you come back to and talk to you, say, in 24 months' time, where would you like to have taken the company?
I've had this question asked to me several times. And I will say the same thing. I think one thing that stands out for me is probably be a little bit more patient in going out to push for something and get it, right? And sometimes people would say patience is a virtue. Sometimes they say patience can delay a lot of good things that can come to this. But if I were to look back, I would probably do everything again, but I would do it in probably ask myself to be a little bit more patient in terms of actually looking at the results and looking at the decisions you take to be able to make those changes happen. And taking a step back and thinking about something is it's a prudent thing for everyone, I would say, in their decision-making process.
Okay, great. It's been really great talking to you. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your views with our listeners.
Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you for listening to the Seatrade Maritime podcast, and we look forward to joining you on our next episode.